What's going on, guys? It is Friday, which means it's time for another episode of my News Radar, and let's start things off talking about the next version of Android set to release very, very soon, and that is Android 13. If you don't know, the betas are already out there for several different devices. In fact, if you want to sign up for a beta, perhaps you have a Pixel 6a that you just purchased, google.com/android/beta. You can quickly go there, scroll down to your eligible devices, opt in, go search for an update, and you will be able to install these betas as they are currently available. However, it appears, based on some release notes that Google just put out, that we have a general approximate idea of when Android 13 is actually going to launch officially. It says here, Android 13 devices with a security patch level of September 1st or later are protected against these issues, blah, 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 blah. Basically, what this implies, according to several different websites, is that Android 13 will probably be launched on that date. Now, it's important to note that the AOSP release of Android 13 is not the same as something like the Pixel devices getting Android 13 officially outside of the beta. With the last Android update, Android 12, it was about 2 weeks later that the Pixels actually got their update. At any rate, it does seem like this release is coming very soon, probably at the beginning of the following month. And we should be getting lots of releases from other companies there, right? So Samsung's probably have their One UI beta in that general proximity as well. You may be wondering, when Android 13 drops, is there really much to be excited about? If I'm going to be honest with you, there are a ton of features in Android 13, right? There's not a ton of stuff that's like radically changing. But what I will say is that on certain devices like the Pixels, they apparently are running much, much smoother. Now, I have the beta here on my Pixel 6a, and I can't say that I notice a huge difference in terms of the performance, but there really wasn't any problem here before. But on the Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, things like the fingerprint scanner, I'm seeing reports it's performing quite a bit better. In terms of those new features, there are a couple we can quickly talk about. So in Android now, you can actually set a wallpaper, but beyond that, you can actually set a style, right? It's going to grab colors from your wallpaper to stylize other aspects, like these quick settings up here, other aspects of your device. And now you're going to have access to just more different color selections there. It looks like applications going forward might be required to ask you first if you want to get notifications from them, rather than assuming that you do and then you have to disable them. This would kind of be right there when you're giving it permissions to storage or your camera, whatever. Well, notifications may follow suit with that. There's a new QR code scanner that might be packed in as well, although I don't actually see that on my 6A, but it was in some older builds. There are some new changes to the way that background tasks are able to run, which might improve battery life, longevity in general. Your now playing music widget also looks a little bit different. You've got the squiggles down there showing how far that the track is actually gone. And there are several more as well. But again, none of them are really like monumental landmark changes. It seems like there's a lot of under the hood stuff, a lot of bug fixes that were kind of introduced in Android 12 on some devices, namely the Pixels. So don't get too freaked out about, your device getting Android 12 in the near future. Hopefully not going to introduce too many problems. But for those Pixel users, I've heard a lot of people say 13 is running a lot better than 12 did. And this might have a lot to do with Tensor and getting better with that. At any rate, coming probably very, very soon. If we stick, though, with the Pixel side of things, we have some interesting information to share. The YouTuber John Prosser, who is right about probably more things than he's wrong about, he has reported that the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro will be going on sale on October the 13th. If you don't remember, here's a picture of the 7 and the 7 Pro, because for some reason, Google saw fit to just show us what these things were going to look like way ahead of time. And again, coming on October the 13th, so really not that far away at all, really just around the corner. Now, he does also say kind of what we already knew, that these things are going to be really, really similar to the Pixel 6. Not a ton of changes are going to be made. The screens are going to be really similar. The cameras might be exactly the same. He says that they're going to be very reminiscent, and I think that that is probably going to be very accurate. But look, a little bit of a polishing, some refinement to what were already a couple of good devices with this better Android 13 software. I think all of that makes a lot of sense, and I think these devices probably going to be very, very solid as well. All that being said, the Pixel device I'm most excited for is one that can fold. I've told you guys I really like the Pixel 6a. It's a really solid phone. And in fact, if I were going to go back from the dual screen or folding phones and use a regular phone, I could see myself totally using that thing. But if you give me that can fold as well and might have some like better cameras as well, some higher end cameras even, maybe not. Even if there were just these cameras, I would be fine with that as well, as long as it could fold and I had a larger canvas. The reason I'm bringing this up is because Google Camera 8.6 has more evidence in it for the Google Passport, the Google Fold, whatever it is, Google Notebook, Notepad, whatever. Forget what their code name was for it. But anyways, more evidence that it is in fact coming. Some enterprising individuals have dug into this APK and they find information in there. They find a new mode with a code name, Jupiter. Now what's interesting about Jupiter is of course the icon here. This is clearly a folding phone. Now if we scroll down here, this new mode that is associated with Jupiter and this icon will actually disable the switch camera button. Now, what do we think that means? I think there's actually a really obvious answer of what this is, and I think we can kind of approximate it here on the Z Fold. Right now, I'm in my camera, and if you look up here in this corner, there is an icon, which looks kind of similar to what we've got there, right? And what happens whenever you click on it? Well, it turns on the cover display preview. So now you can actually take a selfie with your primary cameras. And I think that that makes a ton of sense for me what this new mode could be, because on the Fold, of course, switching cameras makes no sense. If you switch to your selfie camera, well, that's going to disable that mode. Of course it would, because that just defeats the purpose of it being there. So I feel pretty strongly that that mode is exactly what I just showed you, and that is obviously a thing that only makes sense on a Pixel Notepad, Pixel Passport, Pixel Fold. Now, there are some other insights that they have from this APK, and of course, the link will be in the description down below, but I don't really care about any of them because it's all current Pixel stuff and Pixel 7 stuff. The Foldable is the one that I am absolutely super excited to be able to finally get to see, and I think the fact that we keep seeing more features for it built into the camera app, I think that, look, it's the boy who cried wolf problem a little bit on this, right? Because we've been talking about this thing for years, I feel like, but it is coming, and the more things get added to the camera app, the more I feel like it has to be sooner than later. It looked like it was actually going to be coming already here, but then some things happened and it got pushed back, and so we're still waiting, but it is coming, and I hope it's coming soon. And let's end today's episode with some really good news for people who have been trying to get their hands on a Steam Deck. If you don't know, the way this has worked is in the beginning, you would put in a reservation for $5, and maybe 6 months goes by. You get an email that says, hey, give us the rest of that money in the next 3 days, or we'll move on from you. And if you do give us that money, we'll send you the Steam Deck. So all these people that have reserved the thing, they've been waiting and waiting and waiting. And, a lot of this is because of maybe some supply chain issues. This is also the first piece of hardware like this that Valve has sold. And I know they've sold some other hardware, but this is a different scale. And scale is difficult, so they've had a hard time keeping up with demand. But here's the good news. If you've ordered a Steam Deck, you're going to get it this year, because they have announced, I'll let you kind of see this article here, they have announced that they have finally sort of caught up, they've got things together, the supply chain issues are beginning to not be issues any longer, and they are confident they're going to be able to deliver at a much higher rate. So again, if you've ordered your Steam Deck already, your email is going to be coming a lot sooner than mine did. Mine took it was like a year or something like that. It was a really long time for me to get my email. Yours is going to maybe come sooner if you've already reserved one. So this is great news for people who want to jump into the world of Steam Deck. I'm really, really enjoying mine. It's causing me to play games I would not otherwise play. Single player games that I used to love that I don't really play them anymore. I'm playing them again because of my Steam Deck, and that is a great thing to have. And one last piece of information. If you've been looking forward to that PlayStation Marvel Spider-Man game that looked really, really good, it is coming to PC. And the good news here for Steam Deck fans is that it is verified for Steam Deck. So it should work totally perfectly on the Steam Deck. So that is also very, very cool to see. More and more AAA titles fully playable on this amazing little handheld. One of my favorite pieces of hardware that have come out in the last many, many years. I will actually have a big update on my Steam Deck experience coming out tomorrow. Kind of an update from my review where I talked about a big bug I was dealing with. Well, I've got some news to share on that. Don't want to miss that. So if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do so. That's all the news I have for you today. Big thanks to my YouTube members scrolling across the screen now. If you would like to directly support this channel, consider hitting that join button down below. Maybe hit the thanks button instead, or simply subscribe as I already mentioned. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.